guys? Bonafide Hustler here.
What's going on, everybody? Steve here, raking profit in the house. Welcome to another Green Room show.
That's right, Green Room Hangout. I don't even know what number this is, but regardless, it's advanced eBay tactics and tips. Really good things that we want to share with you guys today. But before we get into that whole thing, I'm the Bonafide Hustler. I reside in Austin, Texas. I flip stuff I find from garage sales, estate sales, yard sales, flea markets, pawn shops, swap meets, big box stores, and I put it on places like eBay, Amazon, my booth, consignment stores in town, and on Craigslist. So anyway, that's who I am, one of the founders of the Green Room, alongside this guy that you see right here and a guy that's in the comment feed as well. Who are you, Mr. Rakin?
What's going on, everybody? Steve here, raking profit, 29 years old, from Connecticut. Been reselling for about, 3 or 4 years now. Quit my job, haven't looked back. Sourced from primarily garage sales, thrift stores, retail stores, pawn shops, Craigslist, and sometimes I even buy things off of eBay or Amazon to flip on either of those platforms. So, yeah, excited for this show. eBay is, eBay's primarily one of the things that allowed me to quit my job. So, forever I'm indebted to eBay. So excited to share some advanced tips and tricks for the folks out there who are new, or maybe you're an intermediate and you're looking for that extra boost in sales. So hopefully we could provide you with some value today to help you in your business. So Bonafide, what is on the agenda? Do we have any housekeeping to take care of before the show?
We'll do the housekeeping at the very end. I would love to talk about it right now, but my mind got sidetracked for 1 second because you were talking about all the stuff that you do, and what's a really interesting game that's evolving, I think, heavily right now is the OfferUp to Craigslist game, or the Craigslist to OfferUp game. Have you noticed that? You ever mess with that?
I haven't been messing. I've never done a flip from OfferUp to Craigslist or vice versa.
Oh my gosh. Like, for some reason, I don't understand how I've gotten some of the craziest deals. I used to do OfferUp to eBay, but I'm working on an OfferUp to Craigslist deal right now, and it's just like, I can't believe it. It's like one of those, I don't know how people value this stuff on OfferUp. I get the impression that people on OfferUp don't have as much education on their own goods as they do with Craigslist, for example. I don't know if it's just something I'm starting to see, because the two most recent scores I've got from OfferUp have just been amazing scores, like ridiculous scores. Anyway, so yeah, I urge you to check it out. At least it's on your phone. Get an app, OfferUp, check it out. It's a totally different kind of setup than Craigslist, but it's way cool to look through. I mean,
I haven't messed with it much. I think one of these days we have to bring on a guest, or maybe you can host a show and I can help out and talk about OfferUp, because I hear a lot of people sharing success stories. Again, I haven't really messed with it much, but yeah, maybe another topic for another show, Bonafide.
That's right. So let's make sure that we sound good. We got to ask the feed out there. We have 110 people watching right now. We feel great that we have 110 people here. We're probably going to have more in about a couple
That
minutes.
was quick.
I know, it was really quick. That's because I'm here, man. But if you were not,
man.
I'm just kidding.
Hey.
No. They're here for the hustler, bro. Let's see how many hit the like button, though. That's the real question, right? Because we could have 1 billion people in the feed, but if 5 people hit the like button, well,
because we're on a Rake and Profit channel, we'd have at least 30 or 40 likes now. You're at 15, 17, man. So, it's about the engagement.
I have a feeling this show is going to be more about a competition between me and you than eBay tactics, dude. But honestly, let's make sure that we sound good, guys, because that's real important. We wouldn't want to go through a quarter of a show, half a show, the whole entire show sounding like crap. So if something's not right, or the camera is like super jittery or screwed up, apparently Rick and I did a webinar behind the scenes the other day, and your table was like super ghetto table, right? And it was like really shaky, and College Picker was like, man, there's something wrong with Rakin's table. So if Rakin's table is good and it's steady, that's good. And it looks like he fixed it up.
This isn't a ghetto table. What are you talking about? I've got a laptop on a printer.
Wow. I've never seen a printer with a really sexy dude on top of it. Okay, but it's good to see everyone here. I want to shout out a couple people's names. What's up, Cape Cod Reseller? I see a lot of people that I noticed their names and everything like that. Extreme Access, Jim Cone, a lot of Green Room members too. TY Hipstar. We got Thomas Francis, Deanna Silva, Mike Crooks, Blissed Life, Stone, Bullfog in the Biz, Kyle, Cosmic Thrifter, Russell, Picking Hard for the Money, Pokey Polly, Scott, Nose Picker. That's pretty crazy. Real Iron Dan. Oh, that guy's got a mohawk. I know him. Daniel Avalos, bunch of people. And I want to shout out this one last person, because this person's like always on my videos. Where is this person? 1 second. Okay, I can't find it. Anyway, there's just a bunch of people in the feed. So it's good to see. We have 57 likes, Rakin, so I'm getting up there, man. So let's go into the advanced eBay tactics. And, one of the main things that I want to talk about is really, if you get anything from this show, it's really to treat eBay super seriously because we live in a really interesting time where, you know, working for yourself and being an entrepreneur and doing all that kind of stuff is actually a cool thing now, right? Back in the day, it was kind of like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you an entrepreneur? It means you have no job. Now it's like, if you have a job, it's like, okay, well, that crap ain't guaranteed anymore. You know, it's cool to be an entrepreneur. For like the first time in like many decades, it's actually really cool to like do your own thing, have no boss. And I think it's wonderful how eBay can kind of supplement and carry into this kind of thing, right? So the tips we're going to be talking about tonight will only not make you, they will only, not only will it make you money, but it'll also save you a whole lot of time and money. So you have to understand that it's not always about making money, but if you can shorten your time down and if you can make better purchasing decisions and be smarter about your business, you make money there too, right? Because you waste less time and so far, so forth, right? Time is money. So diversification is very important in this game. As we know, FBA, Amazon FBA in the past 2 months has seemed to just take a complete like 180, right? And a 180 in the sense that you really realize as a reseller on Amazon, you know, merchant fulfilled or FBA, like how small you are in comparison to how big this company is. You start to realize like, wow, this was coming, right? This was coming. It's just a matter of time. It happened so suddenly. Within a month or 6 weeks, it seemed. It just seemed like everything just went from like, oh yeah, I'm having a great time on FBA to, oh gosh, like this is crazy, right? So Ray, can it kind of explain in the past 2 months how you felt about it and what you've seen unroll, and why is it so important to now start diversifying?
Yeah, so recently over the last couple of months, Amazon's been putting restrictions on certain products. So for example, when you go to pull out your phone and you scan an item to sell, when you scan it on the Amazon seller app, it'll either show just a regular listing or it'll say restricted, which means you can't sell it or you have to get it gated. And in a nutshell, recently, a bunch of products have been becoming restricted. Now, say for example, you've sold a Nerf gun in the past. Say you've sold a Nerf gun in the past and your friend John has never sold a Nerf gun in the past. If you two were to scan the item, odds are that John would be restricted. So what's happening now is a lot of items are being restricted. And for the people who aren't restricted, we're seeing that it's because they've sold the item previously, but there's so much uncertainty right now in the market. People are scared. Now, for the people who are just buying one-offs here and there at the thrift store, they're not being as affected as much. But for the people who are buying in bulk retail arbitrage or liquidation sales, there's a lot of uncertainty. And also for people who are getting ready for Q4 on Amazon, there's a lot of uncertainty as well, because previous years, you know, you can go really deep into an item by 40 or 50 or 60, and your main issue would be a price war or how long you'd have to wait for the price to come back up again or for Amazon to sell out. But now the issue is, if I go deep, is the item going to get restricted? So there's a lot of uncertainty because items that you previously could sell on Amazon now are being restricted. So that's pretty much what's been going on.
That's right. And you can get unrestricted, but then these are just like hoops and like things that you still have to do. And I don't think it even matters in the end whether you get unrestricted or not. I mean, let's look at the big picture, right? You get unrestricted, something happens, you're restricted back again, right? Because basically you're still on a very thin rope, right? At that point. That's the way I kind of like to look at it. On top of that, restrictions, you can get ungated in some of these restricted categories by paying your own money up front, which is crazy, and or you know, getting a actual letter from the manufacturer. There's so many different ways or so many different things that have come down in the past 6 weeks that makes it really, it's a hurdle, right? And it's a hurdle that if you want to jump it, that's great, but the hurdle is telling you a story. And the story is very, very important. And if you dismiss the story, I think you're in it for a world of hurt. I really do. Like with FBA, I just don't see the same fourth quarter as last year. I don't see the same safety like Raykin's talking about. You go deep into a product, gets sketchy, right? It gets sketchy. You invest thousands into something, you find it from who knows where, Toys R Us or Target or something. You got thousands involved in some product, and all of a sudden it gets restricted. Now you got to get this crap sent back to you. You got to go back to the stores. Time is money. So you got to realize the battlefield for what it is, right? And no matter what, one of the main things is you're not eBay, you're not Amazon, and we work for them, right? We kind of work for them being entrepreneurs, but you work under their rules. So you know, not a good way to say it, but that is the reality. So let's all face it, right? But here's the thing with eBay, right? And this is the reason why a lot of people are diversifying that direction. I never left eBay, right? I don't think Rakin. I think Rakin was. He left eBay for a little bit, came back, and now he's been there. Even through the restrictions, he was there with eBay before that.
Yeah, it wasn't because of Amazon though. It was because of other things. But yeah, I've been back on eBay for a while, so it hasn't hit me as much.
Right. And so the same thing with me. When all those restrictions came through, I was kind of like, well, I, we're always these little tiny fish in the pond. Any way you look at it, you do the best job that you can, but any way you look at it, the company is going to try to protect the company. Any way you look at it. So, if there's some counterfeit stuff floating around, or there's some stuff, and you're not to blame, right? Maybe you're a perfect person that packages this stuff up right, and everything comes up perfectly fine. It's sometimes the other people that really mess it up for everyone, right? It's the people that are scamming it, that are messing with counterfeit, that are sending in broken things, sending in incomplete things, completely wrong descriptions. It's not the kind of thing that you want before the fourth quarter coming around, right? You want, I can tell you that Amazon and Amazon Prime is really gearing up for a bang up fourth quarter. I don't know how much we're going to fit into that picture, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the truth about eBay, right? It's very active type income, any way you look at it. It's active, right? It's definitely not as passive as Amazon. A little bit harder to scale up, right? Unless you're doing like lots on eBay where you get a bunch of items. And then I just did a lot today, which was kind of cool. Way more effective than going one by one. But you can do lots on eBay, which is kind of cool. But either way, it's still, when the buyer presses the buy button, you're obligated within whatever handling time that you've picked to ship that item off to the customer. And you can pick returns or no returns, but eBay guarantee sides with the buyers most of the time, unless you have a really good case, unless you've been a really good eBay seller. And you have the right amount of tracking, and let's say some insurance and signature confirmations. There's certain things that you can do to avoid getting scammed on eBay, but for the most part, it's very, very, very active type income. Rakin, would you say that eBay is something that you can walk away from 3 to 4 days and just be chill with it? I mean, you can still take vacations, but just this thing is not running, right?
Well, if you're a one-man show, then no. If you've got employees and you've got maybe an office space and you've got somebody who's in charge of, and you've taught them how to, pick your items and pack them and ship them off, then yeah, you can walk away. But if you're a one-man show and maybe you live in Austin, Texas, and you want to go to Connecticut for one reason or another, you're going to have a hard time walking away because you're going to have to fulfill your orders. And if you've got any amount of inventory over 30 or 40 items, I mean, you're not going to want to bring it with you and fulfill the orders. So no, unless you've got employees or someone at home helping out.
That's right. So it's definitely a more active type income. So I guess the real search with people that are messing with diversification is, well, how can I do it where it's less active, where I'm still leveraging time versus the money that I stand to make? So that's where, we can talk about merch. We can talk about, owning an antique booth, which is kind of cool. Little things like that, right? And then you got your Kindle thing going on, or whatever's left of the Kindle things. I know you've kind of like whittled it down a little bit,
Yep.
but there's little things like that. And of course, we diversified as Green Room University owners in that way too. So, but everyone should be looking for a way to diversify. So this actual show, we're going to be concentrating on eBay and how to get a little bit more advanced with eBay and how to really treat it like a real business, like how to look at it not as a drag and one of those like, I got to constantly source for it, but actually as a real business to where you enjoy it and you look forward to reselling the next weekend or sourcing for the next weekend, all that kind of stuff. So let's go into like how to really begin looking at eBay as a real business. I got a 4-point kind of like highlight that I want to discuss with you guys, and I think it's really important. So I'll go through number 1, Rakin will do number 2, I'll do number 3, and Rakin will do number 4. So the first one is like, and actually this is one of the main things that people, I don't think they really treat this very seriously, but you got to integrate systems for listing and shipping. Very, very important. I see a lot of people kind of just doing it on a whim whenever it feels good or whenever they're like, okay, I'm having a slow month, so I better list more. I don't think that's the right way to approach it, right? You should always assume that the slow time is coming, and you should always give it your best shot all the time. Now, people are driven in 2 different ways. Some people are driven by completing a small task every day. Some people are like, okay, I want to have a bang-up week. As long as I get 50 listings or 150 listings done this week, I'll be good. So you might front-end load your week, or you might back-end load your week if you're a huge procrastinator. But either way, I think personally, like having a daily sort of goal and having some systems in place and things to where you really look at this as a real business is one of the lead things that I could advise you guys to do, is to look at this as a real business and go, you know what? I could make 3 to 5 to 10 grand at eBay. But it's because, people go, But what's keeping you from doing that? It's because you're probably procrastinating. You're probably on your phone 5 billion times in the day more than you should be. You're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, right? You should be more efficient with your business, shipping, listing, all that kind of stuff, and treat it like a very serious income stream. Raken, what's number 2?
I'm actually going to jump to 3 and 4. I'm going to let you cover number 2 because number 4, I was just talking to somebody about this today, and I've got to cover it. Know where you can save money. This is a big mistake I see people making in terms of shipping their items and printing out their postage. If you're selling on eBay, I've said this time and time again, make sure you're printing through the eBay system. And I know you were talking about this the other day, Chris, about it being subsidized, the shipping on eBay and Amazon. And it's so true. You can save so much money just by shipping your labels from your computer versus going to the post office. You're actually going to get a discount. And another thing, big thing is you're going to save time. You're going to save a lot of time posting it, printing it from home. So that's a big one right there. Do you want to jump on number 2?
Yeah, number 2 is you really got to implement some sort of buyer resolution plan that's like a blanketed approach. What I mean by that is, you got to look at your buyers as like the gold. That is basically like your lifeblood, your live stream of eBay. Without good buyers and happy buyers, you're going to have A, more returns, and B, not many repeat customers, and C, your rating goes down, which other people see that too. So that's not good. You got to treat your buyers like gold no matter what happens. If you feel like you're getting scammed, yeah, maybe go forward and try to battle that out. But also remember, like, how much did you pay for that item? What's at stake to lose? How much time are you spending into this case? That's very, very important, right? The last time I ever battled out a case, it was for like, I think it was $150. And I was like, all right, there's $150 for something I bought for like $11. And then at the end, I ended up not winning it, even though I was pressing for half and everything like that. I called multiple different people on eBay on the other side. And it's, one of the things I hate more than anything, and I know I'm not the only person, Raken, that thinks this, but don't you hate, and people in the feed, like, please help me out. If I'm a weirdo, that's fine. But like, I don't like repeating a story to like 3 or 5 different people. Does that make sense?
What do you mean by that? Elaborate.
You have to, like, you call, let's say, eBay support, and they're like, all right, what seems to be the story? And you're like, all right, you tell them, and that's cool. Well, let me transfer you to someone else that can have better help. Boom, now you got to tell the story again. Honestly, if there's any time where I go, man, I am wasting my time, I could be making more money just focusing on my business, I could write this $150 off right now. I went about 2 hours deep into that case, and I realized, you know what? I'm not going to win this thing, right? And I just stopped at that point. I stopped at that point, and that was it. I authorized the refund and everything like that. I didn't get dinged, thank God. But at the point, I could have battled the ding too, and the person was like, yeah, if you get a negative review, we'll probably just pull it regardless. But the fact that I had to at the 2 hour mark, I was like, you know what, this isn't worth my time anymore. This isn't it. So I let it go. And so you gotta, I don't know if I'm a weirdo, but I hate repeating stories. I don't care if I'm with insurance people, anything. Like, I hate repeating stories.
You got to choose your battles because your time is worth a certain amount of money. Each one of you who are watching right now, you need to understand, what is your time worth? Is it $10 an hour, $20, $50 an hour? Now, some cases are really easy peasy to open up and, you could win instantly. But like the example that Chris is talking about, where you've got to battle for 2-3 hours, sometimes it's not worth it. And if any of you guys follow Craigslist Hunter on YouTube, I don't know, have you been watching his previous videos with the scammer on eBay with the laptop?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so Craigslist Hunter, if you guys aren't following him on YouTube, follow him. I think he just hit 20 or 25,000 subscribers. So one of the largest YouTube channels in the community. But anyways, he's an awesome guy. He owns a retail location, kind of like a pawn shop, but I don't know if it's called a pawn shop. But anyways, he sold a laptop on eBay for like $400 or $500, right? And tell me if this has ever happened to you guys, anyone watching, or you, Chris. He sold the laptop, right? And he gets a message from the buyer saying, I was so excited to get this laptop. I got it from the post office, and I brought it home, and I opened up the box, and there was a bag of sand inside of it.
Really?
So the buyer was trying to scam Craigslist Hunter. So Craigslist Hunter has been dealing with this issue for like over a week now, I believe, based on his when his video was posted. And now the case is still going on after a week. The eBay favored in his favor, if that's how you say it. And then the buyer came back again trying to request a return. Like, it's a huge mess. But long story short, if it's like a $300, $400, or $500 item, do what you got to do. But if it's like a $20 or $30 item, it might not be worth it.
Yeah, I was 2 hours into a $150 item and it wasn't worth it to me at that point. So you kind of figure out like I was figuring at that point like any more hours, then I am completely just draining my time. I could be sourcing Toronto. There's a person named Toronto Hunter or something in here that says um, there's some really good comments, by the way, raking right now in the feed. I mean, terrific comments that are people saying like, yeah, that's just absolutely like I'm with you, Chris, but that story basically like repeating your story over and over, and on top of that, like realizing that what your time is worth. That's one of the I see this as a thing in the comment feed right now. Everyone's talking about it. So anyway, so yeah, that's one of the main things. But implement a buyer resolution plan. Like, right, don't ever think just because you get scammed by one person that the next 50 are going to do the exact same thing. I think that's where people get really, scared money makes no money in the world, right? I think that's where people go really corrupt. And that's, this is one of the things that you are life is one of Ray, can you ever think that some people look at life? I heard this the other day after leaving the gym, right? I don't know if it was on a podcast or something. I was listening to something, I think it was on satellite radio somewhere, but there are two types of thought. There are two types of people that look at life. One goes through life knowing that life is approaching them, right? And then the other one goes through life thinking that they control everything. Like they see themselves as approaching everything and everything rubs them the wrong way. Now, I'm more the first person. Like I just know that life is coming at me and that's just what happens. You get a flat tire on the freeway, ain't nothing you can do about it, right? You just fix the tire and go off, right? And there's some other people that look at that as like, damn, now I have a task ahead of me. I'm going to like an hour late to work and it ruins their entire day, right? Maybe they go home and like now they just don't pay attention to their wife. They're just like carrying it across so long. Does that make sense? Whereas person number A always goes, they try to look at just that's part of life, right? Life has hurdles. That's just what happens. And that's one of the things I think I can bring to the table when we're going to be talking about this is that you got to look at these things as part of the game. I mean, that's the thing. If you're interested in making big money, I mean, that's the only way to look at it is that you're going to be losing some of that big money too. Some of it's going to be pouring out. There's no way you can hold the bag and not have a little bit of a drip. There's just no way. The drip is going to be there every time, whether you're on Amazon, whether you're on eBay. When you're on Craigslist, there's no drip though. I got to tell you, on Craigslist, there's zero drip. I had one drip on Craigslist in the past 11 years of me doing business on Craigslist. I had one drip. One drop came out of my bag. And it was a kid who bought a guitar from me from a church. And he bought it. He was like, oh my God, we're just buying guitars for the church in Mass, so we can all learn and get a guitar class thing. And then it goes back to the truck. And then the person in the truck's like, that's not the right guitar to buy. So he comes back to my door and he's like, sir, I apologize. I bought the wrong guitar from you. Can I have my money back? That was the only return I've ever had. Man,
that was a big drip.
I know that was
you
not
weren't
a big drip.
Expecting that bag,
dude. That was one micro like particle of like H2O coming out of my bag. So anyway, yeah. So implement a buyer resolution plan. We'll get deeper into this. And then Raken 3, know the value of shortcuts, right?
Sure.
The shortcuts on eBay.
There's a lot.
There's too many actually. That's the thing about eBay that's actually really good.
I can give a couple.
Okay, I know we're gonna get to that here in a second, but like all I'm saying is like, dude, sellers like eBay Seller Central, or I guess that's what I call it, but the dashboard, right? That has like every metric possible that you ever want to know about your business. Like it is so there for anyone that wants to really. That's right. For anyone that really wants to treat it as a real business, man. Like eBay really hooks it up with anything you ever want to know.
Man, like 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. It was so confusing.
Yeah. I know. So, but it's like amazing now. So anyway, I've had a store forever, man. Like I started my eBay journey, like literally jumping on the $14.99 store or the $19.99 a month store. Like it was like, even when I wasn't qualified for it, I was like, all right, I just want to be on there so I can, and I was theoretically paying a little bit more than I should have been, but that's okay. And then I just grew because I was like, oh God, I got a store, man. This is cool. It made me want to put more items in it. And then that's when it all kind of took off. But anyway, okay, so let's talk about number one. In order to turn this into a real business, you must implement processes, right? I talk about this in my very first book, Flip That Shh. You know what I'm talking about, where you treat your business like a factory line. You have to look at a factory and like, if a factory that was building cars, right, just sat there and was like, all right, we're going to build a car and yeah, we're just going to kind of wait for the wheels to come in. And right now we'll just work on the dash, right? We'll just work on it because it's like right in front of us. And then, maybe tomorrow I'll feel like working on the seats and all that kind of stuff. Will the car ever get done? Probably not. And if it does get done, it's going to take a very long time. So, with the advent of robots, right, and assembly lines, now people were able to spit out cars, or car manufacturers were able to spit out cars at a record rate, right? Because they're going down the line, getting one thing done every single time. And that's the way you got to look at your eBay business as well, is that you have to look at it as there's an inflow of product coming in, right? You source it, you've got a good mind, you have 100 amazing items to resell, you've memorized it, you go to garage sale, you bring back all these items. That's step one, right? That's bringing everything to the assembly line, right? Now you got to complete that entire process. Now you got to bring your items through the factory. And I think that's where people really mess up a whole lot, is that they don't look at this as a real business. And a real business would act like an actual assembly line for a car. It really would. And that's what they all do. Look at Cohen, look at all of them. They got trucks coming in. You look at our guy, Resale Rabbit. He's got trucks coming in. He's got a staff that's unloading the trucks. He's got, where does, this discount product go if it doesn't sell? Boom, it goes to like an auction.
The whole process.
Yeah, the whole process is laid down. It's a real business. And that's what you got to look at with eBay too, is when you start looking at it like from a bird's eye view and you realize you have an assembly line right here. And the kink in the assembly line usually is you, right? It's you and the way you're thinking. So I really urge people to really go there and go, okay, where's your weakness? If your weakness is like, I hate listing, like I hate it, then boom, I can tell you one thing, take all your pictures at once and list all at once. Get in front of your favorite TV show on Netflix and just go drag and drop off a laptop, make it as easy as possible. I think people get dragged down. And I know, Rakin, that you are one of these people, not that you get dragged down, but you love the phone with eBay. Like you swear by this thing, right?
Yeah, over about the last month or so.
Right, but you have a very, very advanced phone. And most people, you have an iPhone Plus 6S, right? The big one or not? Okay, so you have a very, very good phone, good plan. Some people might not have that, right? Some people might not have that. So you got to deal with this, like take the SD card out, put it into your laptop, But the laptop's very, very fast too. Shift key and all that kind of stuff. Drag and drop multiple pictures at once. You can work on the rest of the ad while the pictures are uploading. It's very, very efficient. I don't want people to think like mobile's the only way to go with eBay, because clearly I can knock out like 10 listings in like literally like 20 minutes, like high quality listings, like super fast, only because I have all my pictures shot. I have everything in a folder. I know exactly where folder is coming from. So you got to be able to look at this thing from a factory line perspective. Rakin, how is your factory line perspective looking with your eBay business right now?
My factory line's changed up quite a bit. Back in the days where I had, a office space and I had an employee, it was completely different than when I was working by myself before that. And now it's completely different, being a one-man show with eBay and just using the cell phone. So the cool thing I like about the phone is it's very streamlined. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily quicker, because some people swear by, the laptop and having templates and everything, but it's really streamlined because when you actually take the picture, you go sell similar, you're on the listing already, you're taking the picture, it's inside the listing, you can create your description right then and there. You could bang out your listing, very streamlined. There's not, pulling out this SD card, putting it in the laptop, finding the folder, cropping everything. And like when you're shooting with the phone, everything's just perfect if you have a good phone. So that's my process right now. I want to take a step back and say that, actually, I want to pose a question. I want to see what your thoughts are, Chris. For the traditional seller who is not listing on their phone and they're taking pictures with the camera, SD card, laptop, cropping pictures, all that, where do you feel in the assembly line it stops most people? Where do you think most people get caught up?
I think a lot of people get caught up, and I made a video on my Bonafide Hustler channel recently about this, is that they get caught up in two places. I think the listing, and then they spend a lot of time locating the product when it sells. I think a lot of people get lost right there. They're like, all right, I kind of know a general idea of where in this place it is, and it's very organized. But the problem is when you have chaos behind you and you don't have that ability to just pull and ship, just like Amazon does, right? As soon as something sells, boom, this robot's going up to some freaking crazy thing and it's picking something out, or a general box where the thing might be, it goes down to some workers and some workers sift through the box, they find your item, and then boom, it goes into a box that's already like traveling down the line. And that's kind of how it is, but you have to think about that same way too. Like you don't get this, like you don't get the robot, you don't get the high, tiered thing like Costco shelves and all that kind of, you don't get that, right? So you have to improvise that part out. And the way I do it, right, and I made a video about this, is I box everything up literally like after I take pictures of it, right? Because if I take pictures of it, there's no sense in putting it right back into another box where it's just going to get either, jumbled up with other items that are going to potentially put more scuffs and more damage on it, right? That stuff needs to get padded, for me at least, needs to get padded, packed, labeled on the back of the box. And the second a buyer buys it, boom, I'm not stressed out at all. I could go in my garage, I take a look at my wall, I pull it because I know general areas in my garage where certain things are. And that's how I like to do it, man. So like the very next weekend, let's say, you know, a large influx of stuff comes in, of course, from garage sealing and thrifting over the weekend. And then I try to get all that stuff done by Wednesday of the week, which is today. And I got all my stuff done. Took some time. Yeah, it did, right? Active income. That's what eBay is. But now it's going to be trickle selling all the way through the next month or two, right? All from like one sourcing day on Saturday, right? One big sourcing day. So, and it's all boxed up, ready to go. So imagine like next weekend and my head's cleared. I'm not sitting there going, I can't take on more product. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm just going to have a bigger headache. I'm not thinking those kind of thoughts like most people are, right? I'm thinking everything's already done. Like I'm ready to go hustle some more video. I'm ready to go meet up with a green room member in my car. I'm ready to do all the fun stuff, right?
I'd like to jump in and say, to take a step back, that, you know, I really like what you're doing because it allows you to have a clear mind and you're not worrying about it. I'd say that the biggest hiccup in the streamlined process of from sourcing the item to actually selling it and shipping it out and getting paid is actually that most people, it's such a thrill and an emotional roller coaster going out and sourcing from thrift stores, garage sales, that most people, they acquire way more than they could even process. And they're playing a game of catch up. They're playing a game of catch up on an everyday basis. And it's always weighing on the back of their mind that they have all this inventory. And I'm not sure how to explain it, but it does have some type of psychological effect on you. When you know you've got 100 to 200 items that are sitting there, it messes with you. There's something beautiful about finding stuff, listing it, and just being free. I tell you right now, there's something beautiful about that. So the biggest hiccup is most people, they buy a bunch of stuff and they fall behind really, really quickly. And that could actually play to serve a negative role in your actual personal and everyday life as well. Having all that inventory sitting around. I know that was the case for me when I was, 4 years ago, living at home with my folks. My bedroom was a JCPenney outlet, and it was a mess. It wasn't clean, and it had some negative consequences. So anyways, it's so important. It's so important to process your items as soon as possible.
That's right. So just remember what we talked about on that show when it comes to listing and shipping. Do the best. These are all best practices that we employ. Like Reagan has a different listing practice than I do, right? I have a shipping practice that Reagan's getting very close to. He saw my entire wall and he was like, oh, you know what? There are two things that I think you told me. You said in the video, like the two things that Bonafide does really well. One is he boxes up all his stuff. Two, all of his eBay stuff is not in his office. Like all of the stuff is removed from inside the house. So when I come into my house, I'm like, this is a nice place, right? Whereas I think a lot of people don't get that kind of comfort, right? They go into their house and like, God, there's crap everywhere, right?
Yeah.
My crap everywhere is really the boxes that are just sitting in the garage, right? And I can always stand to reorganize them a little bit better, but for the most part, I would say
it's pretty organized.
I'm treating my eBay business as close to FBA as I can get it, right? To where I'm clear-minded. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like, because I can source tomorrow and be perfectly fine. I feel great. And you got to understand, from my perspective, all the other stuff I got to deal with. Same with Rakin, content creator, running green room, working out a freaking crap load, playing with my dogs, paying attention to the wife, all this kind of stuff. Like, you kind of realize why I have to do it now, right? There's no other way for me to do it. If I had crap all over this office, I would be literally going insane.
Know what the thing is, and it's kind of sad to say, and we've talked about this before, and it's a big trap that a lot of resellers fall into. Most resellers are 100% reseller. 100% reseller, which means a lot of them, and myself included at times, is I go 100% into reselling and I lack family, right? I don't pay attention to the family. I don't pay attention. I don't have dogs, but for you, don't pay attention to the girlfriend, or don't pay attention to the finances or my personal budget or all these different aspects. Maybe your house turns into a mess, right? Do you ever notice that, Chris, that a lot of resellers are just like 100% reselling? I don't know what it is about it.
I don't know what I don't know either. I've met a lot. That's one of the things. That's one of the best parts about being or doing, I guess, my journey in YouTube. You could watch all my videos and you'll realize I came from just being a reseller to like being part owner of the Green Room and the Green Room University and getting the chance to meet hundreds of people across the USA, which is such an amazing thing, because you realize that reselling is quite the loophole right now in that space where it's kind of like, okay, you work for yourself, you're an entrepreneur. Reselling is one of these great answers that I think, it puts food on people's table. It helps pay any car payment that you want. You can pay off a house faster, acquire property, anything you want to do. The money from reselling is great. It's absolutely great. And if you're smart about it, you can turn the money pretty quick. But yeah, we were meeting, we've met a fair amount of people. And I think I can agree with Steve is that There's some people that are 100% reselling. And that's the one thing. Like, look, if you're 100% reselling, then you better be the best person in that game. If you're not the best at that game, boy, that's not good, right? So you got to look at it from like me and Steve and Eric's perspective and everything. Like, we're running a room, we're staying as physically fit as possible. Ricken's, you know, he's got a relationship behind the scenes. I have a relationship behind the scenes. CP's got a relationship behind the scenes. CP is part-time working right now, and we're still making it work, right? There are no excuses, guys. There are no excuses, but you're going to have to look at your business. You're going to have to look at your eBay and your sourcing stuff as a real business. It's very, very important. You treat this as a real business.
And the reason why I kind of went on that tangent about 100% reseller and all that stuff is because when you have a messy house and you can't find stuff and you're wasting time, and the messy house starts messing with your relationship and all these things, it has a lot of negative consequences. And that's why it's so important for Chris to have your system of having it all boxed up, to have your items listed. For me, I've got a whole system in my garage, how I could find things, how I can get it shipped out. I've got a system for when I buy stuff, where do I put it in the house so I see it, so then I list it. You've got to have a system. Each one of our lives are going to be different. Chris's life is completely different than mine, vice versa. And for the folks out there watching, your life's going to be a little different. You might have a part-time job, or maybe you have to maybe you're taking care of your mother a couple hours per day at nighttime. I don't know what it is. Everyone's got a different life, but figure out your life and how you can make it as efficient as possible.
That's right. And if it comes down to, and this is one of the things I think people need to, this is the last part of like the number one that we want to talk about. And that is, if you have to deal away with hustling certain things, right? Know that, you know, it's quite possible that what you are doing is you're too good of a reseller, right? You're too good at buying, which is a very, very probable case. You know too much. You go to a garage sale, you go to a thrift store, and you can find things on a regular basis way too easily. I think 3 months ago, Steve and I talked, and I think CP was there, but we were like, man, we could just literally go to a thrift store, go garage selling or whatever for 2-3 hours, and we can come home with $400 to $600 to $1,000 in profit. It's that easy, right? So the question becomes, at some point you have to cut it off. You have to go, okay, I'm not dealing with some of this other stuff. Even though it makes money, I'm not dealing with this other stuff. It could be long tail, mid tail, even short tail, it doesn't matter. Like, it's one of those things that you have to know where that cutoff point is. And I know where mine is, but like, you got to know where it is, because there's quite the possibility that you're too good of a reseller. And we see that a lot too. There's some people that are freaking fantastic. We've met them in real life. And if you source too much, but you cannot deliver on the back end, which is managing that business, why even buy more, right? Whittle it down, right? Kind of like raking in the clothing, in your clothing business. Is like, now you're focusing on this like top stuff, right? The top stuff that you're still really excited about, but you're dishing away on. You're not really messing around with this Ralph Lauren stuff, Brooks Brothers anymore, because it's not worth your time anymore, right?
It's
and
not.
You can find it everywhere you go too, right?
That too, but just, you know, taking a step back, what we were talking about with all the different things that I have going on in my life, and you as well, you've got to realize that there's only so much you can handle, right? If you have employees, that's going to help. But as a one-man show, of course, I've got a few people helping, VAs and whatnot, but primarily as a one-man show, if I buy too many clothing items, it's going to take away from me being able to create YouTube videos, or helping out in the green room, or doing other things, or spending time with the girlfriend, or, you know, getting to the gym for 2 hours every morning. So I've realized my limit in terms of how many items and what types of items I can mess with on eBay. Nowadays, I don't even mess with a lot of really, really big items like receivers and different radios on eBay and stuff, unless it's like a huge killer profit, because it's fragile, the returns are higher, it takes longer to process. For me personally, I don't have the outlets like Chris with the antique booth and Craigslist and all these different things. It's a different game in Austin. But anyways, you've got to figure out what items, what types of items, what categories you need to focus on, because time is money. And if you spend too much time in one area, it's going to pull away from another.
That's right. All right, so let's get to number 2 real quick, because I want to blast through these 4, and then I want to get to the Q&A, which is going to be really exciting. I can't wait to do it. But if you guys are having fun on this show, guys, honestly, we got 216 viewers here. Hook it up with a like. It takes literally 1 second. You move your finger over to that little up-looking thing, and then you hit the like button. Right now, if you want to hit the dislike button too, that is totally cool with us as well. We're not forcing you to love this content or whatever. But if you're hearing this comment right now, I don't even know why you're still here, right? Like, if you don't like that, but it's honestly, like, if you do, or if you're finding it of value, you find it a little bit motivating, and you're like, you know what, like, that's true, I could work on my business this way, hit the like button. We're not asking you to comment, nothing, just hit the like button. We look at the metrics later on, and we know if it's a good topic for expanding later on kind of things. What's up, Reagan?
Also for everyone watching right now, be sure to get the free book in the
Oh
description as
yeah,
well.
here it is.
We've got a lot of people, and I know this can help. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I get messaging me every week saying, thank you so much for this book, for this guide. Why don't you tell them about it real quick, and let's keep moving with the show.
Yeah, it's a PDF. It's free down below. 100 amazing items to resell. Man, this is one of those things. It's garage sale season, like peak season right now, at least in Austin, Texas. Can't tell you how many things that you will be able to find easily in garage sales from this guide. We made sure that you could find this stuff readily to semi-readily available items, and it's all in this guide. So it's amazing stuff. It's bread and butter kind of things, and it's the stuff that's really going to make, that house payment. It's the stuff that's going to put food on your table. It's the bread and butter things, right? We would love to just tell you, hustle really rare Nintendo games, right? But that ain't gonna happen, right? That's just not something you can find every day. So this stuff in that guide up there is stuff you can find on a semi-everyday basis.
I do want to say, if they do get the book, they will join the Green Room email list. And we do private shows. We just ran a private show only for people on our email list. What was it, 2 days ago?
Yep.
We had a show called Make Your First $1,000. So for the new folks out there, I think we're going to send out the replay maybe in a couple more days. So if you want to see that private show, it's on YouTube, but it's unlisted. We do private shows from time to time, and we send out articles and free information. And I know we sent out a sales rank chart the other day for Amazon FBA sellers, talking about like what the best ranks to focus on are. So be sure to get the book. You'll get a lot of free info. But with that being said, let's keep going down this outline with this eBay tips and tricks show.
Okay, so number 2, I said basically having a blanket approach to buyer concerns, questions, and returns. I kind of hinted on this about 15 minutes ago, but I think it's going to really help you out. Don't ever think that, it's only scammers are out there and everything like that. When someone someone expresses that something's not right with an item, this is one of those chances where the thing in your head that should be going on is not, how can I disprove this? How can I win this case? That absolutely is the wrong thing. This is the thing. You got to trust people in order to make good money, right? People, most people are good-natured people, right? People on eBay, of course, there's that person with a 0 feedback or 10 feedback, and then they all of a sudden they buy your expensive item, and it's like, holy crap. But you're still obligated. That's the thing. There's nothing you can do about it, right? You're obligated if you took your serial number pictures and all this kind of stuff, identifying marks and whatever else you need to do, and signature confirmation, tracking number. That's all you can really do. You'd be really surprised what the tracking info can do. A tracking info, the second it lands to someone's address, like literally on eBay's side, you're rid of the actual, it's there. Like, that's it. Like, if someone goes, I didn't receive it, boom, you're like, doesn't matter. You automatically win because the tracking shows that it was dropped off at that address. Very interesting. Actually, someone was like, I never received the stupid thing and blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, showing shipped, so have fun. I don't know what to do about that. Like, I did my part. Maybe it's at your apartment complex front, office. I don't know. But anyway, I just want to let you guys know about that. So yeah, don't let 5% of your negative outcomes dictate 95% of your profitable outcomes. Does that make sense? I think a lot of people like to focus on this 5%, thinking they can really control it. Problem is, you pretty much can't. Even if you do no returns on eBay, whatever, there's still returns on eBay. eBay buyer guarantee, nothing you can do about it. All right, that's just part of, in order for eBay to look semi-good, as good as Amazon, they got to have guarantees like this, right? You can return anything on Amazon Prime, literally get your money back into your account like super fast. Same thing is with eBay. I mean, like, if someone has a buyer concern, you just better pray that it's not something super expensive. I mean, that's basically it. At that point, maybe you have to go to battle and war for that thing. But I mean, that should be very few and far between, unless you're messing with like very high tech kind of stuff, computers. But even then, like, 95% of your money is all good and positive. 5 or 10% is getting wasted. I mean, that's just part of the game. That's part of the game. I always write off my 5%. I don't care about it. I mean, that's just what it is. I do try to sweet talk my peeps, though. I don't know, Raykin, I know that this is one of the things that we teach in the green room as well, is like how to really like own up to your, how to be a really good seller on eBay is to sweet talk your people. Like, when you go, okay, like, here's a classic example. This just happened like not too long ago. Someone bought a pair of Nike shoes from me. They're Forrest Gump running Nike shoes, like really cool, like straight from the movie, Forrest Gump Nikes. They buy them. Day 2, the sole starts delaminating from the shoe. I was $5 into them. They sold for like $50. And so the guy's like, yeah, I really think this is kind of weird. It shouldn't have happened like this. And I'm like, you know what? I agree with you. So here's my 2-point approach. I was like, I can do a partial refund for you, right? Where maybe you can buy some shoe goo or whatever you want to do. I can do a partial refund of like $10, or I can do a full refund and you keep the shoes. Because at this point, I don't want to get a pair of shoes back that are like half coming apart. I really don't care. I mean, who wants that? I mean, I know people do that kind of stuff, but I personally do not
Plus,
care.
you have to pay for shipping back.
Yeah, like, I don't care about that. Write it off. Like, that's cool. So, of course, I'm like, the dude's going to take the whole return, right? He comes back like, look, man, I know you're a good seller and everything. I just, how about we try the shoe goo thing out? I'm good with that. $10, refunded back.
That's awesome.
I'm good with that. I still made money on the deal. I sweet talked the guy. I owned up to my mistake, and you got to be really, really like that's what business is all about. Business is about making relationships count, even when they go sour. Like really trying to fix it up. So, anyway,
I'll tell you right now, if you respond to people very quickly,
oh
and
man,
I
that's the
touched
best.
on this before, like I'm talking about, you get that little ding on your phone, and if you're not getting that ding, be sure to go into your settings. You may have to. Some people don't even get the cha-ching on their phone. You've got to go into your actual notifications and find your app, and then make sure the notifications are on. But have a ding go off for when someone buys sends a message and someone buys something. Once I hear that ding, I'm responding like in like 5 minutes if I can. If not, it's going to be within an hour or less. I'm telling you, when you respond within 5 or 10 minutes, magical things happen.
Yep, that's right. So, if we go back to like responding, one of the ways I like always to like pose kind of a 2-part thing, a partial return or a full return, right? But the full return is I have to calculate what Raycon was talking about. Like, do I want to pay that shipping coming back? A lot of times I don't. I just like let them have it. It's just because. And a lot of times, in fact, every time I do some sort of like either or, but it's always a good thing for the buyer, right? I will get a positive feedback almost every time. In fact, I've shown my feedback on Green Room, and I've shown my cases, like not my cases, but the conversation between seller and buyer. And you can just see that I'm non-confrontational. I own up to my mistakes. And, the end is positive feedback for someone that, probably got the item right, got all their money back, and they get to fix it if they want to. That's cool with me. I don't care, right?
Have you ever had someone who just came at you really, really hard? I actually had a jersey. I had a jersey that I sold the other day, and I feel like anytime I deal with like people with like Jordans or like jerseys, there always seem to be hard asses for some reason. They always come at you really hard. This was like a 5XL jersey that I sold, and the guy messages me and he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, first thing, he's like, what's wrong with you? You didn't see the stitching coming off on the back? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. I could give you a partial refund or return it. Kind of like with what you say. And he's like, seriously? Like, are you that stupid? Like, he was coming at me so hard. Like, have you had an example of like when that has happened? Because in those situations, it's really easy to lose your cool. And tell him, Chris, what are you supposed to do in that situation when someone's like, you know what, they're just not in a good mood, they're not having a good day, and they're going to take it out on you?
Yeah, the best thing that you can do is, obviously remain calm, because in real life, if someone wants to come at you like, hey man, what the hell, blah 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 blah, it's still not cool in real life to just start throwing down and throwing blows. Like, it just ain't cool, right? You're gonna go to jail, someone's going in the paddy wagon. That's not what you want in business life. So the best that you can do is to explain. If you have to re-explain and be nice about it, make analogies, that's fine. But the thing is, always refer to, when you're doing a note to a buyer of your product, just be like, look, I aim to be a really amazing seller on eBay, and I honor all my buyers' stuff. I've never had complications in the past, and I will do anything bend over backwards to help you out and get this thing resolved. Once they really realize that you're non-confrontational and that they might be acting like a dick, and quite honestly, I've had this happen a couple times where people realize like they came on to me through the message really hard, and they apologized too. And some of them have even been like, you know what, I don't need to return that bad. It's all good, man. You're just trying to do good. I've had a couple of those too, but I've had people reverse and they go, maybe it's just the way I write it, right? But they've been like, all right, you know what, I'm sorry. It's just I lost my cool. I just wanted to, you're trying so hard to work with me, and I've
frustrated.
got that. Oh yeah. I've got that before. But I can honestly tell you, like, look, if you want to minimize your returns, describe your item fully and take all 12 pictures, like super amazing. So you want to get less returns, take the time to describe your item down to the T. All right, that's very important, because I think a lot of people might just put like, oh yeah, it's in great condition, blah, 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 blah. I see a scuff on the front, cool, see you later. Problem is they don't look at the back of the item, the functionality of this or that. Whether it makes noises when the CD player is going on or not. Like, some people really fail to test things out. And I think that's what leads to a lot of people's returns is that they don't really go through the testing process or scan a jersey down to the snag of the clothing, everything. You got to really be, how do I say, meticulous,
Yeah, speaking of that jersey example, that was my fault because I didn't. I inspected it, but there's so many different parts on a piece of clothing that could be going wrong. Like there's a million different things, like from just like little rips to buttons cracking to buttons being missing to discoloration to size issues. Especially if you're selling clothing, right? There is so many different steps, like so many things that could go wrong. And I've fallen into this trap before, where it's just like bada bing, bada boom, like great condition, right? But most of the time, looking back at the returns that I've had with clothing, I'd say over 50% are my fault for not taking the time. And it's just something that you have to learn to, adjust. You have to adjust what you're doing and take the time, because if you don't take the time now, you're going to be taking the time later to deal with the customer. When you don't feel like it, it might be 10 at night and you're having a great night and you're like, yes, like I feel good. I'm going to bed. And then ding, $69 return, right? And it's like, crap. And it's like, darn, this is my fault. I didn't inspect it. So spend the time now, spend a little time now, or spend a long time later on fixing the problem and going into PayPal and finding the transaction and sending him his money and then waiting to get it back in the mail and then relisting it. I mean, isn't it crazy, Bonafide, that sometimes we take these shortcuts thinking that we're getting ahead of the game when realistically we're not?
Yeah, just increasing your return rate. That's not good at all. At all. So let's get into the number 3 and number 4 thing real quick so we can get some time for Q&A real quick. So I'll blast through number 3 and then you can blast through number 4. But basically number 3 is like know the values of shortcuts. Advanced tactic number 3 is, the most advanced, it's not even an advanced shortcut, but gosh, guys, if you're not messing with like sell one like this or the sell similar button, boy, are you behind in the eBay game. You got to be real careful with, proceeding any more past this entire show. Like if you're not doing sell similar or sell one like this, you are missing out on a ton of saved time and keyword research that's already been done for you. Huh?
Somebody was asking about it on mobile. How do you find the sell like this? It's actually called sell one like this. So here's the listing. Just scroll all the way down to share this item. Above it is sell one like this. And once you click it, it'll just populate the whole entire listing. Then you just change up the title, item specifics. But yeah, I just want to show it because somebody had a question about that.
Yeah, that's where you find it. You can find it on mobile there and on it. It's really easy to find. In fact, once you do it's very easy to find on both laptop and mobile. Placing a store on sale, right, guys? If you are messing with a store, right, you should be on almost perpetual sale. Like I'll let maybe half a day go by between my sales like expiring, just so there's like some sort of like algorithmic like
I've got to run one tonight. Right? Thanks for reminding me.
So I got to get for me, I don't know why, but I have a feeling like if the pause is there, like that just helps me with some sort of algorithm. I swear this has to be the way it is. But you can't keep people trained like your store's always on sale. So like I always do like about half a day to sometimes a day where I'll do the relist and I'll do the bulk relist, anything like that. That's one of the best parts about having a store on sale or having a store in general is you can do bulk type actions, very important. Also, value of keywords in general. Look, if you're not going to push the sell similar or the sell one like this button, at least understand that it comes down to keywords, right? If you want to make more money, if you want to get like a 20% increase in pay like immediately, screw with good keywords, right? And you'll rank higher, better, and you'll sell with the same item for more money. Keywords are key. And that's why you want to do a sell one like this, because someone's already done the keyword research for you and a majority of the fields are done correctly. You do have to proof things, okay? Just a real quick proof, because if you're doing a sell one like this and it's a medium shirt, but then you're holding a large, but it's the exact same design, you got to click that M.
We've all made that mistake before too.
Oh yeah, I think we all have. And check the keywords too, because if a keyword says new, right, but you're messing with a mint one or a used one, that's very important to take that new and backspace it out and get it out of there. Okay.
Check your descriptions as well. If you're using, let me just tell you a really quick funny story. If your what am I trying to say? If you're using your cell phone and you're just like doing your description by voice, like this item is in good condition, like double check what your voice says, because I listed something the other day, and I'm just going to admit it because I'm human, whatever. I listed something and somebody messaged me like, you better check your description. And my description was, this shirt's in really good condition. It's bullshit or something along the lines like this is a bullshit shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Like it was really, really inappropriate. And you guys know what it's like when you do the little voice thing. Double check your descriptions. Trust me.
Okay.
It'd be bad.
So yeah, holiday perks are kind of interesting. In the holiday season, there's always like some weird way to get a badge or something fast and free, or there's like holiday free logo. There's always some weird logo with like a little train thing. Know what your holiday perks are. It depends on if you're a TRS or the other kind of seller. There are always these little perks that you can do to get like or even higher ranked than eBay. Best offer is really important. I think this is one of the newer. In the past year, I've started to mess with this quite a bit. I treat any kind of message that I get as almost a chance to sell to that person. So, if it's like, well, can you measure the insole of the shoe? Then I'll be like, hell yeah, I can. I'll measure the insole of the shoe, and then I'll send them like an offer that's like $5 below or $10 below the price. Very interesting.
That's
right?
very, very. How do you do that?
You can do a send offer from any message in the top left corner. This is one of the things. Like if you reply to a message, right? And then the send offer button's up there. The thing is, if you press send offer, it'll bring you to another screen where you put the offer, you put the price that you want to offer, and then you still have to retype in the whole thing. So copy and paste whatever you're typing, and that way you can win the next screen.
How often does that work?
Drag into there. It works about, in my recent screwing around with it, I would say it's worked 50% of the time so far. 50. And some people honestly say, look, I can't pay your asking price, but if you ever come down in price, then I would be really interested in your product. That's a great time to put one of those in, right? And this can be something less than what you're selling it for, because it'll show you the price that it's actively at. Even if it's on sale, it'll show you like whatever, $82.49 or whatever. You can send them an offer for $69.99, which is like basically, if I do my math right, yeah, you know what I'm saying, like $13 off. So you can do all kinds of stuff like that. I like to do a daily goal on eBay. So any way I can get it, and there are messages coming in like nearly every single day. So I treat those as like, well, this can just help me get to my daily goal, surpass it, whatever I need to do. So treat people like, in the corporate workforce, we call that a warm lead, right? These are warm leads, right? They're interested enough to like message you about the damn item, right? So at least do something back to the warm lead, like trying to convert it, okay? And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Number 4, Ray, can you want to take number 4? And then we can open Q&A this thing real quick for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to just dive through this in like a minute because we got to answer some questions. Know where you can save money. So pay attention to eBay emails. They will alert you to free listings on both auction or buy it now. So that's really important. There's going to be certain times where it's going to make sense to list more items. So if you're really on a shoestring budget and you're trying to save a few bucks, make sure to look into that. Also, another way to save money, store subscriptions and which one you should be on. How often do you relist 90% of your inventory? So you need to understand when you have a store, you get a certain amount of free listings, insertion fees. You want to talk about that real quick?
That's right. You get like listed. You get basically comped, kind of like relists. This is the way I kind of like to look at it. You'll still get your final value fees. There's no way around it. I think though, if you are a different status, maybe TRS or whatever, that you get some final value fee discounts and all that kind of stuff. Including there are times of the year where certain categories get FVF discounts. So you just have to pay attention to those emails. Like I said, the emails are very, very important. It can tell you like, save here with listings in automotive, right? And if you're like, holy crap, I have like all these brake pads that I haven't listed, it's time, right? So pay attention to the emails. The store subscriptions, there's a store calculator on eBay. You can just put eBay store calculator. You'll find it. You can input a bunch of numbers and it'll tell you which store level to be on. There's a yearly discount. If you buy it all year at once, you get like a really nice discount. If you just go month to month, that's great too. But either way, getting into a store opens up basically the seller metrics. That's very important. The ability to like do bulk kind of things to your listings, the ability to just do a whole lot of, you get every piece of data. Yeah, run sales. Although I was talking to an eBay person the other day who said you could actually theoretically run a sale and not have a store, but I don't know if she was completely right about that. Anyway, and then the real question is how much, you look at your inventory. If you're 100 items deep, right? How many times a month do you relist those, 90 items? Because let's say 10 sell every week, right? So, you're going to have to relist about 4 times, right? A week. If you're picking the 7-day buy it nows or whatever, you're going to have to relist 4 different times 90 on average. You need 280 listings. So you need something that has a minimum of like 300 free listings, 500 free. You want to start looking into that. If you're in a growth stage, you're like, you know what, like I really want to like treat this real seriously. I like to go over and beyond, right? I like to just go for the best, one of the better things, and I like to like kind of blossom into it, right? It's kind of like the same way when I bought my very first motorcycle. I was like, I don't want a 600cc because I know I'm going to be able to handle a faster bike. So I already jumped to a 750cc, and my very next bike after that was a 1,000. It was a 1-liter bike, and it was just one of those like I know I don't want to rebuy and like sell my bike. So I was like, I'll just buy the better one now and grow into it. Same thing with the eBay kind of store kind of thing. Grow into it. It'll make it as a goal. Like if you're like, holy crap, I have like 200 free listings left and it's 8 days before the end of the month, man. Like I should be thinking about it. Yeah, it motivates you to like really try to smoke up those 200 listings. Anyway, so there's there, and then ship only from eBay, right? This is what Raycon was talking at the very beginning. Ship from eBay, it's subsidized, right? Depending on your seller status, like right, if you're a TRS, you get a bigger discount than the one below it. But either way, they still help you out with, it seems at this point, minimum like 8%, right? If you got decent standings, I think your minimum's like 8%. I've seen as high as 26 or 34, something like that, like percent discount. Like that's crazy. Like that's a great discount if you think about it. And shipping prices are only going up. Have you noticed that? Like everything just goes up slowly every year.
Oh yeah.
Right. Slowly every year. It's my padded poly mailers here in Austin, Texas were $5.75 at one point, and now they're $6.10.
What is isn't inflation typically grow at about 3 to 4% per year?
Yeah, it's like it's 2 to 3. I think it's something like that. But anyway, yeah, you're right. And plus, there's the whole like dying breed of the USPS all in general. But like, anyway.
So, here's some questions.
They have to make money. Yeah, let's get into the actual comment feed right now. And there's also
people watching.
Yeah, we have a lot of people watching. College pickers in the feed as well. So if you have any questions, let's get them answered. But that pretty much does the outline. So guys, like I really thank you guys for being really cool in the feed and all that kind of stuff. We had to go through what I like to call a short outline, but it's very, very detailed, And so we aim to inspire, to make sure that you guys are doing the right kind of things. And after all, in the end, it all comes down to happiness and money, right? Happiness being the very first thing. So if you're happy, right, you can make more money, right? But ways to become happy is you have to be able to release thoughts in your head going, all right, like I got to treat this as a business. And once you get to the business status, I think you will really, really be happy in the end if you can really look at it in a different way. And then when you're happier, like I said, you make more money, period.
And that's why we built the green room. We wanted to build a community to, not press upon, but share our beliefs in terms of business and, work-life balance and health and all the different areas. And, we're passionate. That's why we love doing these shows and helping you folks out. And, every time I get a message from somebody on YouTube or Facebook or within the green room and they say, thank you, or this helped, or, there's so many people in the green room who I remember 3 or 4 months ago, they were doing a couple $100 a month, and now they're doing $1,000 or $1,500. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this reselling game, I mean, it could bring so much to your life, whether it's a couple $100 per month, right? A car payment.
Oh yeah.
Right. Save up for a boat. Or how many people have you met that actually quit their job, you'd say, doing this reselling?
We just had one person in the green room just give like a 1 week the other day. So I'm T-minus 1 week till I leave my job finally and I work for myself. These are proud people, proud members. We see people leaving all the time. We see like people going, what's the kind of setup to leave? If you're in my scenario, I have X amount saved up, to talk health insurance, all that kind of stuff, all the important questions that I think never really make it to a YouTube show. We find it in the green room sometimes. But yeah, I mean, we just aim to inspire, and we really aim to reduce the frustrations that are involved with this game, because they're a crap load, right? And if you're bogged down, if you get frustrated with one little frustration, I got to tell you right now, there's 100 behind there, because that's just how this business works. But if you can surround yourself with like-minded people that are thinking the complete opposite, right? They're thinking, how can I make more money? How can I diversify? How can I do better with my life? How can I get more fit? Now you're talking focusing on the right kind of thing, right? I'd equate that to person A, who sees life as coming to them and making the best out of the life, as opposed to being person B, who gets the flat tire and goes, you know what, my whole day is ruined, right? And everything sucks and blah, 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 blah. So you got to be real careful with which person you are, because you're one of the other. I guarantee you.
You're going to be the average of the 5 people you hang out with most. Who's your reference group? Who do you hang out with? Who do you share your ideas and thoughts with? So, that's why we congratulate all of you who are in here right now, because it proves that, you're willing to, spend your time surrounding yourself with people who are, on the path to success and doing what you're doing. And that's the key right there. Whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of, right? If you focus on your eBay business, you focus on systems, you focus on learning, you're going to grow. If you focus on, oh my gosh, I got to return, or I can't deal with this, or, there's no money to be made, or the thrift store is raising the prices. Like, that's why you need people in your corner who are positive. So, we appreciate you guys watching for sure. Make sure to like the video, right? If you want to join the green room, greenroomuniversity.com is how you could learn more about it. But let's go into some Q&A and help some folks out.
Okay, so there was one that just said, where do you get the pad? This is from World Top 10. Where do you get the padded poly mailers bona fide? And that was basically from USPS.com. There is I want to say it's the priority section of the free shipping supplies. It's like shipping supplies, but then there's like a free section where it says anyway, I do it once every month or two, and I get them quantities of, I can't remember what the quantity is. I want to say it's 25.
I just went in recently.
Don't buy it. It's just free. You get that. The shoebox is really amazing too, guys.
When I say buy them, yeah, it's free.
The shoebox is the one that I love the most. I mess with shoes all the time. I'll
tell you what I love the most when it comes to shipping boxes, and I feel like this is one of the most underrated boxes. This might be different for you. I don't know, depending on where you live or not. But I love using the Zone B boxes. I save a ton of money with the Zone B boxes. The Regional B boxes, I think, is the new name, and the Regional Rate A boxes. But the B box is huge. It's really big, and man, I save a lot of money using the A's and B's.
Yep. Brian Kruger has a question. I want to eventually start YouTube haul videos and vlogs. How did you guys start? This is a terrific question. This couldn't be better time, right? Because today I actually built the outline. It took me about an hour to build an outline for one of our next green room products, which is actually going to be free in the room. And in the open market, of course, we're going to have to charge you for it, because that's what the room's about. It's about getting all of this stuff for free, plus the community. But yeah, the actual thing is YouTube, content creation plus building the channel and doing it the right way, learning from our mistakes, because I guarantee you we've made thousands, me and Rakin, and we don't want you to go down that same road. So I think it's going to be a really terrific product. It's probably going to take about a month and a half to build out. But yeah, I literally just built the outline.
But we're starting. We're going to do the first part of it next week, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a 4-part kind of thing. We're going to air it in the green room. It's going to be really, really interesting. But we're going to do some video and maybe some screen share, because some of it has to get nitty gritty with screen sharing and everything to show you exactly what you need to be doing, because we all started from scratch. That's the crazy part, same thing with eBay and Craigslist, so we always like to, if we can shorten the learning curve, right, and save you time, that's certainly worth something, right? And that's the determining factor whether I think people join the room or not, is how much is your time worth, right? There's no difference than it's no different than a conference or seminar or going to college or any of that kind of stuff. You're investing in yourself because you don't want it to take so long to get to the very end. So that's what it's about. How long before you guys quit your 9-to-5? I quit my 9-to-5 back in 2009. I want to say, no, 2008. Really in the worst time of the entire history of the USA. Honestly, it couldn't have been more ill-timed, terrible. But I did quit at that time, and I became a day trader. And then my day trader people were like, man, this guy's doing all kinds of stuff behind the scenes. And they're like, I don't even know why you're day trading, because you're marginally good at it. And you're so much more passionate about this hustling and flipping stuff. So anyway, some of my day trader friends were always really intrigued, and they were always telling me to do it full time. Although I was doing part-time and just making fantastic money, but just if you just focused all your attention on it, you'd be so much better. So great suggestions from my friend Justin, who does live in Hawaii now, who had made a killing out of that 2008 crash shorting the market. And yeah, so what else do we have as a question? Oh yeah, Rakin, when did you quit the CB?
CB 2013, I want to say 2013, early 2014. So I've been living the entrepreneurial lifestyle since 2013, 2014. eBay, Amazon, obviously Green Room, YouTube, Kindle Publishing, Craigslist, affiliate marketing, different things like that. So it's been quite a while. I can't ever see myself going back to a job in the cool thing is once you quit your job and you do it for like a couple of years, it's kind of like when you finally move out of your parents' house, right? And you're on your own for a couple of years. It's like you'd rather die before you go back. That's why very few ever do, unless it's a necessity. But yeah, I can never see myself going back. What about you, man? What if? Let me ask you a question, Bonafide. What if that corporate job? This is dead serious. What if your corporate job that you used to work for, the one where you were going around town, I'm not going to give the details. They said, you know what, Chris, our main man, he left. We miss you. We trust you. Like, we even see you on YouTube. Like, we know you're doing your thing. Like, we want to bring you back. We're going to give you a $250,000 per year job, 40 hours per week. Would you, maybe it's 50 hours a week. Would you quit that to quit YouTube, all that other stuff, man? Like, I'm throwing you right on the spot, man.
That's a really, really crazy question. That thought has actually crossed my mind multiple times, because if I ever went back to any job in my life, it would be that one job with, I won't say the company, but it is a Fortune 26 company. At that point it was. So I think it might be less now, as in like a better, like higher up the Fortune list. But that's a really tough question, because I had, there's a point where you look at it as stability, right? And I've mastered it, so I know the job. So going back into it, it's not like I would have to know anything, relearn anything. There's stability, and that's a big kind of like, oh, that's great. But then there's the part where you give up on your dreams. Now that part that's the part that really bothers me. That's the part that allowed me to leave my job, right? I saved up a good amount of money. I left like a rock star, but I won't get into that. But everyone was like, dude, you were like a freaking hero in this company the way you left. Like, you have no idea. You are literally like a god to us. But that's for another day. Yeah, the giving up on the dreams part bothers me a whole lot. And that's when I was leaving the job and I was talking to my manager. I remember telling her, and I'm not a monetary, how do I say it? I'm not, you know what I'm saying, Rakin, right? I'm not
It's
into
not all
like
about the money.
It's not all about the money, but I need to know certain things in my life, and I need to know what certain things feel like. And I remember this sentence like word for word, but I said, if I continue 10 years down the road with this job and I was still making great money, I was like, even if I was to save half of my income, I still wouldn't be comfortable spending it on an Italian sports car. At some part of my life, I need to know what it feels like to drive a Ferrari and actually own one, is what I told her. I was like, it's not being weird, right? Because there's part of me that wants to go off-roading into like the Colorado canyons and camp and do beach surfing up and down the California coastline in a Sprinter, cheap things, right? Where I was like sell my house kind of deal. But there was a part of me that was like, I need to know what it feels like to drive an Italian sports car. And I don't want it to be like, oh, I rented one, so I'm cool now, right? Like most people on Instagram, like take pictures with like a rented Ferrari for a day. And it's like, holy crap, like this dude's rich. No, like it'd be nice to be like truly rich, but like not lose a sense of who you are, right? And so everyone knew me as like a really good person. And so that's a very tough question, Rick. And I don't think I would go back, right? But you said 250, and that's a good sum of money. Right, that's like
I knew that would tickle.
That's doctor pay. Any way you want to look at it, that's doctor pay. But quite honestly, in the environment that we live in right now, and the trajectory path of how advanced the internet is, and really like apps and all this kind of stuff, this is the time to become an entrepreneur. This is the time to leave your job. It's now. This is where it's getting very good, and you can get noticed on a whim, dude. People are making millions off YouTube. There are people making crazy amounts of money marketing through Instagram. I mean, if you believe in something and you have a dream, there's no better time than now to mess with that.
Now's the time.
Yep. So anyway, Toronto Greenhouse says Rakin and Bonafide should get a white Sprinter and travel the country picking. This is a great suggestion, Toronto. This is a terrific suggestion. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing that whatsoever. Maybe we'll do that. I know College Picker will be down for it as well. I have a feeling we're probably going to hustle the RV, right? Because that's the
Bring
smart thing to do.
Suarez along with us.
Yeah, we're gonna hustle an RV and pay like crazy, like low ball price for it, and then we're gonna use the hell out of it and sell it for a profit at the end. That's what we're gonna do. All right. So last thing is Green Room Rocks. Green Room Rocks. Is it the information age? It's just too much going on. The opportunities are endless, Brian Kruger. Is it the information age? It's what Gary Vee likes to say. It's the age of attention, right? And if you can figure out how to get people's attention and you believe in your product and it doesn't suck, then you will do just fine. All right. So Uncle Picker says this is the way Bonafide left his job. He walked in, he dropped the mic, and he left.
Somebody asked about health insurance. when you work for yourself. You're going to have to just buy it, right? You're going to have to buy your health insurance yourself. For me personally, I'm at about $250 per month. It was a lot lower, but with the whole Obamacare, most of that money got shifted off to the 20 and 30-year-olds. So I had to pay the bill for pretty much everyone else. But that's a whole other story. But my insurance pretty much almost doubled when that happened. How about you? You don't have to tell specifics, but did you feel it from the Obamacare? Did you get hit with it? I know you're a little older than me, so.
I get it through my wife, who does work
Oh,
in the
okay.
healthcare industry.
Oh,
So
you lucky son of a gun.
it's pretty
I
decent.
got to guide my girlfriend in the right direction. Okay, we'll talk later about that.
You can have her talk to my wife. So anyway, that's pretty much where at 9:12. And Julie Johnson says, you talked in Austin about traveling and coming to see different cities. Seattle first, of course. That's from where Julie's from. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the – I can't tell you – like, honestly, when I was in California about 3 weeks ago, I found myself just bored at one point on the beach, and I was looking at RVs on eBay. And I determined that the one that I want, even if a green room goes across the country and everything, is only $13,000. And that's well within all of our budgets. If it will sleep like 5, I would get the most amazing bed, of course, the one at the very top, the biggest one. But yeah, I mean, I could see myself maybe doing that kind of thing. So you never know. I've already looked at the RV. I've looked at it. I've looked them up in town. I know what I want. It's only like $13K for one that has like 40,000 miles. So anyway, that's for another show. Okay, so hey guys, we gotta get out of here. It's 9:13. We went a little bit over time. We want to promise you an hour show. Thanks for all the likes. We got 161 upvotes. We have 9 downvotes. Looks, guys, this is the last 30 seconds that we're here on the show. In fact, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping for a minute, but this is pretty much the last chance to hit the like button. Please help us out. We would greatly appreciate it. I'll let Raken touch on one housekeeping thing that has to do with the virtual summit, and we are out of here. Next week, we have Jason T. Smith on the program, which is going to be awesome, talking more eBay stuff. But Raken, take it away with the actual virtual summit.
Yeah, sure. So in January, I believe it's going to be the 13th, 14th, and 15th. We're going to be having a 3-day virtual summit. So imagine what a conference or seminar would be like in the flesh, where you attend and speakers and roundtable discussions happen and networking. We're going to be holding one of those early January, 3-day event, green room virtual summit. So if you want to get notified of the details and speakers and get an early bird special, then go to greenroomuniversity.com/get notified. And I'm looking in the description. I don't see it bona fide in your description right now. So
I'll get it there.
After the show, let's update it under the free book. So if you guys want to come to that event, it's going to be a 3-day event. Replay will be available. We've already got some big dogs that are coming in. Chris Green, Andy Slammons, RESELL. We've got a lot of people. So we've got a bunch of speakers that are coming in. If you want to get notified, greenroomuniversity.com/get notified, and we'll update you with some information. Also, be sure to get the free book below. Can't tell you how many people have made money from it. It's free, no strings attached. You also get opted into the green room email list with more free content. So get that as well. But yeah, great show. Always love talking about eBay. I mean, I feel like I could talk about eBay all day long. There's so much to cover. So if you guys enjoyed this show, you mind moving? I think your fans hitting your.
Whoops.
Yeah, no worries. If you guys enjoyed this show, you like this content, be sure to check out greenroomuniversity.com, where we hold a lot more shows like this for members only, private shows. Bonafide just had a Fresh Finds video today that he posted in the green room. We've got about 10 to 12 video courses, ebooks, and guides in there, Facebook community, a ton of stuff. So monthly, yearly options available. Check it out below as well, greenroomuniversity.com. But with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. You rock. We'll see you next. Next Wednesday, we have Jason T. Smith coming on to talk about eBay as well. So that should be a pretty awesome show. And Jason, he doesn't give any BS. So he's going to tell it how it is, and should be fun. So we'll see you guys then. Thanks. Bonafide, do you want to end it?
All right, we're out of here, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. We really appreciate your time. We won't waste a single more minute of it. It's good to see you guys. Take it easy, and see Raken on his channel. See me on my channel. We'll be blasting throughout the week our random stuff. It is good to see you guys. Take it easy. Have a great weekend and hustle hard. See ya.